YouTube. Everyone loves it. Everyone uses it. We all engage with it. We're streaming on it live right now. But I'll tell you something. As a content creator on YouTube, I find myself often very confounded, very confused, very perplexed by the platform. And especially in the comic space, it can be trepidatious. And so I sought out one of the premier voices in comics YouTube, someone that I look up to in this space, and I think a lot of people do. If you are watching this or hearing this right now, you probably watch this person's channel and have for many, many years. I am speaking about none other than Sal from ComicPop. Sal, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, gentlemen.
Of course, it's well deserved. Truthfully, you are one of the people who does this that I think is worth looking up to. Watching the videos of you and the crew are fantastic, and you've been in the game for a long time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. It's very kind.
So the state of comic book YouTube is something that is on my mind a lot because, look, like I said at the top, we love it. We're here for it. Comics on YouTube are great. Yeah, we're in it.
Yeah,
exactly. We're playing the game, as it were. But I feel like it's changed over the past few years. I feel like there are some differences now, and I'm very interested in getting Sal's take on how comic book YouTube has changed, where he thinks it's going, all those kind of things. And of course, we're going to have fun, as we always do on this podcast. You guys know the drill. And I want to say it at the top. We are doing the Triple G. We've got the Gavin Guidry giveaway. We said we were having Sal on the show, and Gavin, who draws Superman 78 for DC, was kind enough to offer that he would draw or offer a sketch piece of art to the winner of the giveaway today. So all you have to do to enter is leave a comment or question for Sal. We'll get to those later on. And the winner of that will connect with Gavin and get you some art. So
nice.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Look, I wish I was eligible.
Yeah, me too. Are you kidding me? I actually, half the reason I'm here is because I was like, maybe I can get one of those sweet.
Listen, Sal, drop a comment.
Yeah, right.
Ask yourself a question.
Yeah.
Right.
Real softball. Your favorite character.
Right.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
What is her name?
That's impossible.
Oh, you look real handsome today.
Yeah. How do you do it, man?
MP in the chat says 2 of my favorite channels crossing over.
Nice. That's nice.
Wow. There you go, right away. I feel like if you listen to this channel, you almost assuredly listen to ComicPop. I mean, that's just how it is. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that there is that connectivity in the sense that, we've received a few comments since we announced you were coming on, where it's like, hey, I found you guys because of the last time Sal was on the
nice.
show. Yeah. So on a personal note, I appreciate you even coming on board to hang out with us.
Oh, I'm happy to be here, man. You guys are a very positive and professional voice in this industry, and so I'm more than happy to swing by if you guys call.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. No, it's a thing, and it's funny you mentioned like the state of obviously the title of the episode, or at least the stream, is the state of comic book YouTube, I guess, right? And it's like. Yeah, and I'll watch a Comic Pals show, or I'll look at how consistently you guys put out, and I go, God, why aren't they doing well? What the hell, man? And I know it's because like the game has changed, and the game isn't a game anymore, and I'm like, man, if you guys started in 2014, maybe things would be much better, but. Here we are. And I think that's like, it really, like, it used to be like, oh, well, you got to do these 7 steps and you got to grind. And it couldn't hurt to have a creator or 2 on the show. Collaboration is key. But like all the old YouTube rules are fake, are not fake, but like they're expired. Right? Like there's some rules of thumb you know, like if you want to lose weight, you should eat less and exercise more. But like if you went to like a nutritionist or you know, a physical trainer and you said, I want to lose weight, and he said, here you go, and he wrote down on like a script, eat less, exercise more, and then gave it to you, you'd wonder where the hell your like $500 went, because like that's not really valuable. And that's like the problem, is that like it's this plus, or this is the theme of what we need to do, but the rules of how to achieve it have changed. And also there's like stomach injections you can get to lose weight now, and so how do I compete with that? You know what I mean? Like, so and when I say that, I'm using it as a metaphor, but it is actually a thing that you can do, apparently. Yeah, and it's
Google
like
here.
Yeah, oh no, it's this, dude. I was somebody who will not be named was telling me about it, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
And then I Googled it, and it's an FDA approved thing. It was originally for diabetic patients, and it sounds horrible, by the way. Not that like it sounds horrible because it's like painful, but like it's an injection every week. Every week you get an injection in your stomach, and you may lose up to 20 pounds. And I'm like, 20? I lose 10 with water weight if I just like I'm halfway there.
Yeah.
Why don't I just stop? You know, like, but anyway, but my point is there's shortcuts, you know, and those shortcuts are elusive and mysterious and unknown to some of us, some of the hardest working people. So, you know, and that's like that's my analogy I'll use for comic book YouTube right now. It's just like there are outliers, but that's what it is. Like, you know, you look at like up and comers who are on the scene, and they're outliers where it's like, whoa, I literally, I would get calls from like people who were in the space and left, or are in the space now, who are like, who is this guy and how is he being so successful? And I'm like, we don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm like, he plays the game incredibly well, you know? And so that's where we are. Obviously, you know, this isn't a lecture. I'd be happy to hear the what you guys think as well. But you know, I mean, it is a problem, and it's not just a problem for, you know, the comic pals. It's a problem for everyone. You know, across the board. I'm seeing creators in different spaces, completely different spaces, who are like, I don't know what's happening. Like, I'll use an example. I was on the Red Letter Media subreddit, and I don't know what I'm doing over there, because apparently Reddit's selling our data left and right, but apparently like they're saying the quiet part out loud, so like I need to delete my account soon.
Right.
But I was over there. Yeah. Oh yeah, totally consented to that. And they were talking about like, why are the views so low lately? You know, and some people are like, maybe you shouldn't do like 3 Star Trek The Next Generation trivia shows in a row. But I think the answer, because like it didn't matter. The point was, it didn't matter for like the longest time in RLM. It didn't matter. The audience was like organic. I knew contacts at YouTube, or at like back when they were more prolific multi-channel networks. You guys aren't an MCN, are you?
No.
Good. You are saving yourself so much money. You're saving yourself like 30 to 50% of your revenue for them to do literally nothing. Like, I remember we got I think it was a copyright strike or something. It was either a content warning or a copyright strike. I couldn't recall. This is going back 7 or 8 years. And we were in an MCN, and I was like, this is the perfect opportunity for me to contact my MCN and ask them for help, as was their edict. Like, the whole selling pitch was that they protect me. And they were like, well, have you tried contacting YouTube? And I'm like, that's your job, man. What are you talking about?
It's your rep.
Yeah, right. And they're like, well, I mean, and it took like they didn't do anything. And eventually I did just contact YouTube myself. I looked through the video, I found anything that might have been objectionable, and then I submitted a appeal. And YouTube sent me a message back saying like, oh, we accepted your appeal and blah blah blah. And I'm like, where were you, man? But back when that was a thing, I remember going to I think we can name them, Maker Studios. I was at Maker Studios corporate headquarters in Burbank many years ago, and you know, we were talking about like the state of this system and what was necessary to succeed and where to go with it, and you know, like they don't know.
Yeah.
Like, They don't know, and they never did, and they purport to be experts in something that is constantly changing. I remember when like YouTube rolled out with a rule, and then like I asked my MCN contact about it. No, it was a YouTube contact. YouTube gave me a channel manager, and yeah, when we hit 50K, they were like, "Here's your channel manager. It's Steve," and he had a full name and a contact email and stuff like that. It wasn't just like Steve the chatbot. But I contact this guy, and I'm like, "Hey, I heard about this new rule." He's like, "I haven't heard anything about it." I'm like, "You work there. You should know it before it comes in."
Yeah, you should know it before I do.
Yeah, like why am I telling you about this?
Give us
and that's what I'm like, okay, because I firmly believe it's very much like a tinfoil hat theory, but I do believe in my heart of hearts that like in 2015, 2017 max, someone at like YouTube was like, make it, like gave an edict that said something like, make the algorithm do like incorporate this factor. And when they did, it broke it. Right? Like that they actually like broke how the algorithm operates. And because like it's never been better than it was in terms of growth and retention and and of course I'm sure there's naysayers who would say aging comic book YouTuber complains about lack of retention after 10 years in the business. And it's like, I wonder what's happening. My relevance.
But the funny thing is that your channel reached over 100,000 subscribers after that. So it's not like, you saw the height of your success and then it waned and you started complaining. You're more successful than ever.
Well, on paper, that's true. Like on paper, it is true. Like, I asked my family doesn't understand how this works or even or understands to care. So when they do deign to care around holidays and such, they'll say something like, "How you doing?" Or like, "How's it going? How's the business going?" And I'll say, we have more followers and money than last year, which is how a business should work, right?
The American business model,
right? Like if I run a grocery store and I sell product and they ask you how you're doing, I'm like, well, we had more customers and more inventory and more revenue than we did the previous year. Well, that's a freaking success, and that's measured in dollars and cents. But for whatever reason, here on YouTube, we gain more followers than we lose, and the money has not really shifted too much. I don't know if you guys had the same bump, but like, the pandemic, certainly there was a rise. There was a peak. And it was like a 30, I think I measured it. It was a 30% hike, and we've never gotten there again because it was artificial, right? It was an artificial hike. It was never going to work, or it was never going to last unless like everyone in America just stopped going to work
forever,
right? And didn't have to, because it was like people didn't just work from home. Like some people were furloughed, some people didn't work anyway. Yeah. But while on paper we are doing better, you can look at you can see the numbers. I mean, like the changes that had to take place. For one thing, as you pointed out, ComicPop hit 100,000 subscribers. Our ComicPop Returns supplemental channel we needed to invent, lest we lose any momentum we had, is at 25,000 subscribers.
Yep.
Which means, a quarter of the audience wants 2/3 of the content. Like, how does that work? And I'm constantly struggling to remind people that other channel exists, despite the fact that if it didn't exist, A, we wouldn't be as successful as we are, and B, we'd only have one friggin' show.
Right.
Because of the nature of the way that the channel has, the YouTube system has changed. Like you can't just make a wide variety of content of varying lengths and topics, lest you be left out in the cold because YouTube can't categorize what the one thing your channel does.
Yeah.
And yeah, go ahead.
No, sorry, no, yeah, that I feel like that's been a felt experience where we've kind of all brainstormed different ideas, have tried to produce different things to kind of vary the length, vary the topic, vary the thing, and then it kind of boils down back to, well, what is your singular focus? Because that's easier to sort of be able to break out to push out from an algorithmic perspective, and not that we end up defaulting to it, but we end up tweaking the things within the show, and I think that ends up being more fruitful versus we also have this 15-minute thing, we also have this half-hour thing, we also have this 1-hour thing. And it'll vary. Obviously, Pals Pulls our weekly show, the review show that nets out, but we've always had it, and it's not necessarily a spin-off, but some of the smaller, more evergreen content can be that, and it doesn't perform.
No, and there's, I mean, that's how it works, right? Like, it's, you need to have a channel for every bit of content you make. You know, we for a minute, check this out, like when Shorts became a thing, as Shorts was emerging, I had an in where I knew Hassan Kader, who makes the Mickey TikToks, just through happenstance, my partner Benny the Comic Historian and I, when I say partner, I mean like not life partner, but you know, I guess it is at this point after this long.
I mean, you and Benny have been running together for a while, so
seriously, right? No, but my partner over at Absolute Comics, he brought Hassan in because Hassan apparently had been a fan and of his, and so Hassan had an in because like YouTube was like reaching out to TikTokers being like, we want to break into that TikTok space. What do you do? How does it work? Show us how it works. And we'll give you the inside track. So we had inside knowledge about like how the track was going to work. As you can see, that worked out great. But when Shorts was a thing, Benny was like, let's make a Shorts channel. So he made a Shorts channel and I followed suit. I'm like, all right, well, I guess that's the way the cookie crumbles. So I'm making a Shorts channel. It rises to like, I think it got like 2,800 subscribers in the first like 2 days, which is like meteoric by today's standards. Meanwhile, not a year ago, we created a ComicPop Plays channel for just the streams that Tiffany, my wife and gamer, does for our Twitch channel, and we're struggling to get past like 2,200 subscribers. And it's like, because it's not just, I genuinely do believe that like cream rises the crop, the best content will be seen by, you know, the most, and not all the time, mind you. You know, not saying like, if you're not doing well, I have bad news for you.
It's because you suck.
Right. It's because you suck. No, I believe that exceptional things will be found.
Sure.
Right. The exception. Sometimes there, and like I said, there's a key word to this, and it's called outliers. Outliers exist in every space. And as a result, like outliers are going to be pointed out by people who want to be the lone voice of dissent because for whatever reason, our particular vocation, whether it's YouTube, internet, or comic books, has a predisposition for being the arbiter of the niche.
Yeah.
But I digress. You know, but you know, having not all train of thought, but yeah. Doesn't matter.
Well, let me jump in because
Please.
there are a lot of angles to this conversation. First of all, I want to say thank you to everybody who is currently watching us live, and I must say that is definitely the record. The record has been broken. Sal smashed the record of people who are watching us live. So thank you, Sal, for bringing your people here. Thank you for watching. We really appreciate it. Hopefully you're enjoying the conversation so far. Before we go forward, I do have to let you all know, if you are enjoying the show, we are the Comics Pals. We are live. This show is live every single Saturday right here on youtube.com/thecomicspals at 10:15 a.m. Eastern. Tune in Thursdays at 6 p.m. Eastern for Pals Polls. That's our show where we review comics. Patreon.com/thecomicspals, where we are always giving you bang for your buck. If you enjoy what we do here and you want to support, that is the best way to do it. Real quick, I have to shout out the people who are supporting us over there. So special shout out to the best pals in the universe. Join the Palsverse over on Patreon. So Thunderstruck, Rebecca Alejandro, Hound of Justice, Atomic Hound, Starcross, Catherine Stars, The Red Spiral. And a special thank you to the Night Stalker, Harris Dajinski, Brian Demolisher Del Pozo, Kefis the Incorruptible, Momentum Mike Elliott, Dan the Truth Trudeau, Joel Justice, Jalen the Sanguine Sorcerer, Marley Manastorm, Slow Flow Dameron, Amin Almighty Perez, Pete the Dreamweaver Collins, Christian Uncaged Harriet, and Always Laughing. Thank you so much. You guys are phenomenal. We love you. And We are on the road to 2,000 subscribers. As Sal said earlier, this is a grind and it's a struggle. So if you want to help us out, click that subscribe button. We drop content constantly. So if you want to hang out with us a little bit more, that is the best way to do that. Okay. Oh, and also the Gavin Guidry giveaway. If you want to win art from Gavin Guidry, the artist behind Superman 78, leave a comment or question for Sal. We will put the people who did that in a randomizer, and the winner will reach out to on Discord. If you get us on Discord or you get us on X, we will hook you up with Gavin and get you your prize.
Nice.
All right.
I figured it
out. Yeah. back to the topic at hand.
Exactly.
So go ahead.
No, just like you need to. Diversification isn't enough anymore, right? It's not enough to like go, oh, okay, I'll take all the things that I make and I put it into one column. Now it'll grow. No, like it ain't like that no more. And I don't know, like and so you have. I don't know. You have unprecedented competition. You have unprecedented consequences against you that are like that are unforeseen and unknowable even by the people who are like instigating them. It is a grind, and I don't even. And I'm concerned that if you don't know or you don't innovate, that you might be grinding towards a dead end. And I'm not saying you guys are. I'm just saying like. If you like miss some crucial component, you could just be hitting your head against a wall. And
what's the crucial component?
I don't know.
Right.
It's anyone.
Right. Like I right now it's disingenuous for me to say here are the tips, because obviously because every time that like we come up in the space, and it's rare, but when we do come up, when it comes to our peers, we're regarded as like a small channel, and I'm like, there's a lot of us, and they're smaller, and some of them work harder than we do, like a lot harder. Like I look at you guys and what you're doing, and I can see like the dedication and the passion and the like and just like the genuine content creation you're doing. Like just if you had started in 2016, you'd be there. You'd be making. You'd be in a better position. And that's not to make you feel bad. It's just like. It's more like get mad and see like and demand explanations. You know what I mean? Like it's outrageous.
I told you, Sean, 2016. We should have gone into YouTube. I told you. I said it.
Right. And it's not like Apple stock splitting in 2001. I don't have a date. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying, like, right. It's harder now than ever. Sure. Because you're not just competing with yourself. You're competing with TikTok and TikTokers who are then trying to break into the YouTube space, and the YouTubers who've been here for as long as they have, and the changing of the guard. I mean, yeah. Anyway, I've been talking for too long. You guys go ahead.
Well,
I'll chime in if necessary, but please.
So the thing that interests me so much about this space is the fact that there are really a lot of angles you can take with a channel dedicated to comics, and I think that our shows, our channels are similar in terms of the stance that we kind of take on comics overall. I feel like we both kind of come from a positive place. And we cover the books in depth. We both do reviews, and we do some new stuff. Off the Rack is my favorite show that you guys do. I love watching it.
Ah, yes, thank you. Our comic book review show with my wife on Mondays at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on youtube.com/ComicPop Returns. You should check it out.
There it is. And then Elseworlds Exchange too on Fridays, right? Which
That's
the interviews
correct.
have been amazing.
Thank you. But like, look at those interviews, right? Like, as an example of like, yes, I think they've been. I certainly have enjoyed them. And I think that they're always a struggle. They're always hard. And like, actually, I haven't seen. You guys did like a one with Phil Kennedy Johnson like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Like, they don't perform like they ought, and that sucks. But it has been an accepted truth over the last several years, right? Since pre-pandemic years, we've been like, interviews don't do very well. If you do them because you love them, and you hope that the audience will follow. But now, like, the interviews have actually changed the metrics on ComicPop Returns for how it measures success. ComicPop Returns was like, well, you get 5,000, 10,000 views, that's success. ComicPop Returns is now sending me back information like, well, you got 1,200 views. That's a really nice number for you.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
Because the consistency of what you put out and the consistency of the retention of what you put out will completely pigeonhole / like, damn your channel. It could succeed. It could blow it up. You know, if it's like, oh man, I'm just putting out a banger after banger after banger. But no, you know, because if the audience is already like, I mean, yeah, you talking to comic book legends, but like, come on, back off a little bit. Just make a dick joke about Batman, please. Like, then it's gonna put you in a different category, and it's a real shame. And I try to be as real as possible with comic book creators and people in the space to be like, yo, like, I want to do that, and we'll figure out a way to make it work. And sometimes all you can do is like go, ladies and gentlemen, so and so is on the show, but you know, we've tried incorporating them into off the rack, you know, like having a segment in the middle of the show. But that's not always convenient for the creator, which is why it's probably a good idea to just pre-record them and then just throw them on in the middle of the show. But sometimes that's hard to do, and sometimes I'm like overwhelmed with time and, you know, stuff to do, and that's another big lesson, by the way. It's like sometimes, like, I'll give you a perfect example of a lesson. Not that I'm giving you guys lessons, because you guys put out more videos than me at this point. But
please, I need lessons.
Yeah.
But we used to do a show called Off the Rack, but it was very different. It was a show, actually, it was originally a show where it was like just back issues, but like with one single brand new issue, right? It was me, Ben, and Ethan, and we three read the issue. And it's actually funny. The reason why that show ended was because like Ethan basically said, like, I'm not reading any more comic books. Like, please stop making me read comic books on a weekly basis. Like, not that he hated it, but he was just like, I got enough to do. Like, I don't want a homework assignment. And
I feel that.
And I was like, that's completely fair. Back then I was like, I'm not paying you. Like, I really appreciate you being candid and not quitting the whole damn thing or waiting until it's untenable and then just leaving the whole you know, store. So that forced us to change it. And so I was like, well, Tiffany's actually reading them on a regular basis. Let's just, you know, Tiffany was like, well, I'm a girl on the internet. I really don't want to like have that kind of negative attention. And she really stepped up in a significant way. And I think is one of the strongest voices about comics online. Not to mention one of the strongest female voices of comics online, where she lends a artistic background to story and character and creation that like I just don't see. And I may be biased because I think she's awesome, but like I'm not wrong either. And so getting her on the show was a boon. But again, all this to say, we'd shoot the show. Like we'd sit on the couch, we'd shoot the show, I'd edit it, I'd put in graphics and sound and all this stuff, and then we put it out, and back then it would get 4,000 views. And that back then was horrible. I would love 4,000 views on a friggin' review show now. But back then that was horrible. So I was like, damn it, I'm putting all this effort in. Another thing was the shows would be anywhere between 3 to 10 or 11 minutes, which is funny because eventually YouTube would change their algorithm to only favor that kind of length of time.
Right.
Of course, and then swing back the other way, which is why you should never hang your hat on one particular directive from YouTube. You know, just the best advice I can give in the middle of another piece of advice is just do what you're comfortable with and do what's easy. And that actually factors into this other thing. Do the easiest, most comfortable, most casual, like effortless content, because it will not fatigue you. It will not like wear you down. All work will, but it will erode it. Like, you know, it's the difference between having a rock under a waterfall or a drip of water, you know, like erosion will happen, but how at the rate and speed will vary. But we switched it from Off the Rack being like a regular comic book review show that's like high production value and all the stuff. And when I say high, I mean, you know, proportionately speaking. But we switched it to this format: live stream, weekly super chats, all that stuff, right?
Yep.
It performs better, it makes more money, and it's easier. And the audience couldn't care less. Not that they like were some folks were like, I hate the fact that it's live, or I hate the fact that I miss it. And it's like it's happening. You missed it every week when it was pre-recorded. You weren't there.
Right.
So but eventually, you know, we just chipped away at it, kind of like how Red Letter Media did Half in the Bag, where it was like it was all Plinkett reviews. And then they started making Half in the Bag, and the audience was like, get the hell out of here. I don't care. And while that's happening, there's new episode. I don't care about you two talking about new movies. I just want to hear you talk about Star Trek or Star Wars or talk about George Lucas. And every week they just kept doing it. And eventually it just beat down any of the naysayers because the quality was good and the content was interesting. And that was something they wanted to do more. And so eventually that worked. Now, I hate to use the Red Letter Media as an example because they're 15 years old and people call them dinosaurs, but the proportionate views to subscriber base is still unprecedented. Their retention is still unprecedented, and they have a really great model, which is hang out with your friends and you'll never work a day in your life, and make the quality content you would want to see. And it's like, well, that's ubiquitous. We can all agree with that. But a big change was just it was less of a hassle to just shoot it live, and it's a better show as a result.
Same here.
Right?
Same here.
Genuinely.
That's a huge learn. That's a huge get.
Everything you just said regarding, numbers going up, money going up, all that happened for us when we started going live on YouTube.
Yeah.
YouTube has supported us as far as I didn't realize that our tribe was here, apparently.
Yeah,
we're still meeting people, we're still adding people to the fold, but when we were just putting the show up as a video and even doing Twitch a little bit, those things were not working. This has worked a lot better.
Totally. And it's easier. And not to say not to really harp on that, but because it's easier, you will be more creative. You will have more energy to do the thing that people are here to give their hard-earned money to you to do. Yeah. It's like I use this example just the other day. David Lynch, creator of Twin Peaks and whatnot, co-creator. But David Lynch had the same breakfast for I want to say 12 years in a row. And the reason, and at a diner, he'd go to this one place and they would bring him the same meal every day for 12 years. And part of that you'd say oh yeah, because he probably has ADHD and he just doesn't want to think, it's the reason why he did that, or at least the justification he gave. And I love it. And I'm not necessarily saying this is the way to go, but it's there's something there about consistency and just consistency is because everything you do as a human being is creative, whether you're painting a picture or ordering at a restaurant. You are using brain power to please yourself. And in this regard, it's wow, look at all this menagerie of food. All these options I have. I'm going to think about how this would taste. You're literally thinking about the shape, the taste, the texture of food that you might theoretically have. And when you're done, then you're going to ask your brain to come up with creative ideas that you're going to sell to an audience. But you just spent 20 minutes being creative about how you're going to please yourself.
Right.
So for him, he's I just had toast and tuna or whatever. I don't know what the meal was. I'm just making it up. But same meal. So he doesn't, that part of his brain turned off. The part of eating fuel to feed me so that I can be creative, so that he can spend more energy thinking about being creative. So it's when it's second nature, when it's consistent, you don't have to spend as much time thinking, do I have to do this? Do I have to set up these lights? Do I have to turn on this thing? Make sure that the sound is running. There is a consistency there, and it allows you to have more freedom in your brain to be the best version that your audience expects. And, so yeah, there you go.
It's funny. Christopher Nolan did the same thing with wearing the same suit on set for Oppenheimer every day.
Right? Yeah.
It's a lack of choice.
See, me, I would wear pajamas.
Yeah.
Well, one of the benefits of live streaming is I never get to wear pants. So
right. Oh yeah, no,
yeah.
I'm not.
One less thing to think about.
I don't even have a bottom half. I'm actually just a torso and head.
Yeah.
I wanted to say hello to the Oblivion Bar podcast. They say, yo, pals and Sal, excited to see you guys uniting for an episode together. When are you guys going to join the fray? When are the Oblivion Bar going to make their appearance over on this side of things?
Ooh, that's a great question.
We need to talk. Yeah,
those guys. I mean, you guys, yeah. I see similarities between you guys and on all the good qualities.
Thank you. And we actually met at New York Comic Con, and we had a great time. So like, yeah, we need to get that collaboration going. So Sal, you have to have seen this because it's just unavoidable, unfortunately.
Yes.
There is a toxic side of the comics fandom.
Yeah.
That has a foothold on YouTube, right?
Mm-hmm,
and I feel like on some level, a lot of us are afraid to even talk about it.
Yeah, I do deliberately not.
Right.
Not like that's not me being like, and I won't. but I do deliberately not address it for a variety of reasons, not the least of which is that I genuinely believe that if you give oxygen to a bad idea, it is just as bad as like listening to it or agreeing with it. So like when I hear bad ideas, I tend to just ignore them because when I was growing up, that's what you did. You know, it was an unhelpful strategy from parents being like, bullies, ignore them. That way they can beat you up easier. But when it comes to, when their lifeblood, it's not like it would be like if a bully, instead of like beating you up in the hallways, would stand across the hall from you and just distract you and try to get your attention all the time. Like,
right.
That's what it's like for me. And I just go, just don't look at him.
Which is what our parents think bullies do.
Right. Yeah. And I'm like, no, they're beating me savagely.
Yeah. No, I went to the hospital.
I was never, I will say, just I was never beaten savagely. I was bullied, but not like traumatically. You know what I mean? Like
I had my
I was bullied the way I think everyone is. You know, at some point or another, you're going to meet a bigger fish, and that bigger fish is going to remind you. At some point, at every point in life. Anyway, I'm sorry. So, Sean, please.
Yeah. So, you know, unfortunately, there are a lot of views in that space. There's a lot of hate views. I mean, look, we had a run in. We interviewed Heather Antos.
Oh, that's gonna do it.
For anyone who doesn't get it,
I actually do know Heather, not like very well, but I know her like personally. Like we've met and we've hung out, and I think she's just such a lovely creative person. And I genuinely, I'm disappointed by the negative attention she gets.
Yeah, she warned us beforehand.
She does. She has to. Isn't that messed up? Like
it is.
And I think, I hate to say it, but it feels like 98% of it is just because, you know, she's a girl.
That's it.
It's 2% like what she may have had an influence over, and even then, it's like that's subjective. You know?
Dude, we got one of the best eras of Star Wars comics of all time, right under her purview. The Star Trek comics are doing fantastic, and they're better than, well, I mean, I can't speak to the quality before her, but I know that right now they're real good.
Right, you're enjoying them, and they're doing, and they're performing.
Exactly. So what's the problem? It's so ridiculous. But what bothers me the most is the lack of responsibility on the part of the people who do that to the audience that they have, because you're saying these horrible things and it affects their minds, and maybe on some level you're a grifter. You know that everything you're saying is horseshit, and you're just trying to make money. But the people listening to you don't. So my question to you is, how much is your responsibility to your audience, knowing that the things that you say impact them? How much of that is at the forefront of your mind when you get on the microphone and say things?
I am a dumbass, and I
would not co-sign that.
Right, I say what I feel a lot. And I think that is to my, it before I monetized it, it was to my detriment, but now I have a job. But no, genuinely, like didn't think about what I said about like comic book creators and members of the community when I started, because I had a kind of like Wizard magazine shock jock attitude about it. It wasn't even a shock jock attitude. I think shock jock does know what they're doing. They're like, no, I have to. There's a calculus to it. I got to make sure I piss off this person, this person, this person, and that'll create like a TP of these are the ways in which I will grow. No, I think that I say stuff because I get passionate about it. Like people who I've met like at cons and stuff are always like, this is so you're just the guy I see on the show. And I'm like, yeah. It would be exhausting to pretend to be this all the time. It already kind of is. But like I've told this story a million times and I'll tell it again. And it's not really a long story. Gentlemen, I'm sorry for, all
You're
this.
good. You're the guest.
But I talked about 0 Year very early on, and I was like outraged by just how dare you? I remove Year One from continuity and replace it with this bloated monstrosity, and I just raked it over the coals. And I did it with like inaccurate information, not even like but again, not deliberately, just because I don't like I do research in as much as I read the book, and I try to do a lot of like background information now. Like today's back issues is a lot better than the older back issues, because back then the show literally was I take a book that I vaguely recall and I just explain it to two people who didn't read it, and sometimes you're going to get like inaccurate information as a result, and sometimes it's still going to happen even today. And it's like, I'm not a machine. I'm not a Wikipedia machine. Like, right. I can't give you the whole thing. I don't know everything. I genuinely don't know everything. Some would say I don't know anything, but I was very harsh, and I spent like 2 hours just being like, Zero sucks. What did a child man write it? Like, what is this? I didn't say any of those things, but I'm sure it was just as unpleasant to hear. And Scott Snyder in the comments just said like, sorry, I didn't like it, man. And no. And I'm like Scott Snyder. What? Oh no. Yeah. They're real. They're human beings.
Yeah.
He watched it. He watched 90 minutes of me being like, what a gorilla boy. Like, he doesn't know anything. He barely can open a banana. Like, he's just stupid. Like, it's just, I don't know. I don't know what I said, because I just say things because I'm an idiot. And I'm just like, well, he's a public figure. It's like The Simpsons is a very old reference, when Homer's playing softball and Bart and Lisa are making fun of Daryl Strawberry, and they're like, Daryl. And then Marge goes, that's really not very nice. And she's like, and Lisa goes, these are professional athletes. It just rolls off their back. And just Daryl Strawberry, like a lone tear rolls down his face.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, these are human beings. And I'm sure it was like frustrating and annoying to read a periodical in 1995 and see a full ass like joke at your expense and about how like you suck and can't write. And the YouTube equivalent of that is like some jerk off making a 90-minute video talking about how your comic book he half remembers sucks. And so I didn't immediately, but that was the the first thing. That was the straw that like started to make me reevaluate how I react to art, how I refer to creatives, and yeah, just tempering and measuring myself, not like for any other reason than like these aren't just like names on a like old comic book that we can all like laugh about, like we do when we're at like a comic book store or hanging out in like a living room and we're like, oh my god, really, you just name a character. I'm not even gonna name a character. Like, I'm just gonna say, like, you're reading a comic, you're talking about a comic book from 1987. You know what? We can use one. Boy, Jim Shooter really likes to put himself in these comic books and talk about how misunderstood and sad he is, doesn't he? And like, I heard that Jim Shooter, blah, 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 blah. And like, it's like, yeah, we could do that in the privacy of our own home, but like you do a comedy show, maybe reevaluate who you're talking about. So that you have a 100% responsibility for how you treat them and react to them, and how, and the reality is, like, if you're the host of a show, regardless of what level of it is, people are looking at you as like the kind of like unofficial leader of the show. And the audience will pick up on that. And if they're getting like, I hear it all the time. I'm sure you guys do too. People who are like, I never heard of the comic book, or I never heard of that creator until I saw your show. And if I'm responsible for that, then I need to also be capital R responsible about how that message gets out and about how that message gets interpreted. I don't have control over how it's interpreted, but like I can do the best I can with how I mean what I say and how I send it into the world. And I think the worst thing you can do is the second worst thing you can do is be dismissive, right? We got a Gavin Guidry sketch. I know, he's an amazing, accomplished artist, and I love his work. And it would be reductive to say he's got a great simple style. He's got a simplistic style, clean lines, and it's just simple and easy on the eye. And it's like it sounds dismissive, and it's like no. He captures the essence of a character using as little lines as possible. He knows how to put people in dynamic positions you'd never seen before. Like just changing that one way, that your initial or that one way of describing something because someone's listening. Not necessarily Gavin Guidry, but like the audience. And then that helps influence the audience's reaction. Because I think as comic book fans, we consume, it's the same for like TV, you know what I mean? Like if you say, you talk to somebody who's like, I'm a TV connoisseur. Oh, wow. Yeah, I watch over 1,000 hours of TV a week. Holy crap. What do you watch? Oh, mostly Storage Wars, Bridezillas, and, My 600-Pound Life. It's like, well, it's a lot of garbage, and we all read comic books, but not all of us are like art majors or literary critics.
Right.
And so we can dismiss the genre as consumables, but it is also an art form, and I have a deep respect for it now, more so than I did when we started the show. And it's like, if I have any, if I hate seeing it diminished, and I hate seeing it go in the wrong direction. And if I want to delude myself into thinking I have any influence over it, I need to start being more responsible with it. And that's all to say, if you have an audience of hundreds of thousands of people, and you've garnered that audience through weaponized negativity, then you are responsible for the world you're creating, and you're influencing the world. Because whether you're a grifter or you're just angry, your audience doesn't know the difference, right? The audience that they have doesn't know it. Like, and I'll use a very safe example. I saw and I don't want to get political. I don't want to get like into the weeds about like alliances and so forth, but I will say I saw Bill O'Reilly say something not too long ago. He was like putting his foot down about something, and I'm like, you're the actor from Iron Man 2, right? The guy who was hired by Marvel to say that Pepper Potts sucks on TV. Like, why should I believe anything you say? Like, you are literally playing. You were playing the same character in Iron Man 2 as you are right now, but for super serious right now, I mean what I say.
Yeah.
And it's like, because I have like some measure of critical thinking, or at the very least, media literacy, I know that he is an actor, but his audience does not.
Yeah.
And so like he still has but he bears responsibility for like what his audience does. It's why you don't yell fire in a crowded theater. It's like, sure, it might be a prank, but like people could be trampled. You're responsible for that.
But his hands are up.
But his hands are up. Like, whoa. I just said a word. I mean, I'm just asking questions here. I didn't even say fire. I said fire. But and it's the same with YouTubers. It's the same with like that kind with podcasters, with media personalities, with people who like who I suspect know what they're doing when they like dog whistle their audience and say like just shy of the thing that they want to say, or the thing that they know their audience will finish the sentence for. And I'm like, you know, you are looking at, it's all about, part of the problem, this is getting heavy and I'm going to drop out of this in a minute. Part of the worst, the reason why no one's happy and the world sucks is because everyone is trying to get short-term gains. It's all about short-term gains. It's all about immediate gratification and short-term, the biggest bang for the biggest buck in the shortest amount of time. And weaponizing anger about any particular topic, whether it's a sweet person who makes comic books, or like a book that they didn't read, or, you know, a presidential candidate or whatever, like you're monetizing people's dissatisfaction with their own lives, and you're making it worse. Like, it's not just like, oh, well, I'll just sell a bumper sticker that says I'm mad. Right. You know, because like, well, that's true and it's honest and all right. Like, that's very one-to-one. But like, you're going like, hey, there's problems in the world, and you know who the problems are, and we know who they are, and let's point to them. Let's put a big picture of them on my thumbnail, and let's change their face a little bit to make them uglier. You know, it's like, you know what you're doing, and you're deliberately changing, like, you know, you're deliberately polluting the conversation, just to make some money. And it sucks that it sucks that it's so effective. You know? But I will say, a shining, like, one good thing about it, or a positive one can glean from it, is that their rage may be fake, but the audience's is not. And while that is dangerous and terrible, anger burns, rage burns, and burns people out. And so there is a ceiling on that kind of content, right? Like, you can't, you know, unless you then move to a larger format or a larger audience. But like, you can only make so much money. You can only get so much of an audience by rage baiting comic book fans.
Right? Which is why those videos always start with a plug for some goofy ass comic book that is of questionable quality.
I mean, like, I've literally never read a single comic book from any of those groups. And it's just because I have better things to do with my time. Like, I just, you know, I don't even know who the players are anymore. Like, I remember who they were when it started, but I don't know. And I don't, because I don't give oxygen to it. And it's just like, I just don't acknowledge it. It's just like, it's not worth it.
They also tend to eat each other alive too. Yeah.
You're right, exactly. And like, you know, I use the analogy of like the letters pages. And I remember, I think Tom King was like, no, that's not how that works. And I'm like, yes, it is.
Yeah.
And that's not me being a jerk for telling Eisner Award-winning creator, comic book creator Tom King, that he doesn't know how the comic book industry works. But I will say that, like, the letters pages in the back of comic books is heavily curated. Of course.
Yeah.
They don't put like, I'm going to come to your house. And there were letters like that, but like, there were few, there were not a lot of them.
I'm sure they still are. They just don't get put in the back of Marvel.
They don't put them in they're not going to put them in the back of the book. You put a smattering of anger to like show that there's like diversity, but you know, you curate this, you curate the space, and inevitably the audience will react to the curation of the space. They'll be like, wow, it's really refreshing here. Like, it's really, the air is cleaner here. It feels like it's safe for me to like say how I feel, or at least share my enthusiasm for the hobby. And that's the most important thing, is just like making a place that is healthy and comfortable for people to enjoy a thing as simple as reading an effing comic book.
Sal, there was something you said with regards to the art conversation and you know, the responsibility and how you communicate that. I think one of the things that is important to what you'd mentioned in terms of not attacking and criticizing, thinking critically about the art that you're looking at. When you made the reference of simple line as opposed to the way that you can more fully describe it, I think it also works in that responsibility way of giving back to the listener a new way to then speak about the book, because you're also being able to, you're also saying, I'm maybe indirectly teaching you how to communicate to somebody else. You're going to go to the shop and be like, hey, I heard this thing and this made sense because it captured the essence of the art itself, and I'm going to spread that back out. Like I think as much as there are bad ideas in the world, I think the proliferation of good ideas also exists, and I think that responsibility aspect that you're saying goes in that direction. I've now armed somebody with language to be able to better communicate what is necessary.
Yeah, I completely agree, Marco. Great point. It's absolutely true. Ideas are infectious, whether they're good or bad, and it's our responsibility having, if you have a good idea, it's your responsibility to share it. So, that's you're absolutely right. And it's great to give, like, maybe it's from my teaching background, but like I do like the idea of giving people tools to dig themselves out of ignorance, because I've had family with history of drugs, and I know, like, alcoholism and drugs, and I know you don't get better from being yelled at or beaten down. You have to want to get better. But how do you want to get better if you don't know from better? And so you, like, give people the tools that are necessary to dig themselves out of it. And the tools are, like, self-assuredness, confidence, love, security, protection, and and hopefully they want to badly enough, and they're not as deep as they can be, to get out. Thankfully, the stakes are much lower because we're just trying to sell some comic books here. But it bears repeating. It's just like, yeah, go ahead.
But to that point, like, if you're just yelling at people about how much something sucks and those people are having a bad time, eventually you're gonna drive them out of the industry.
Well, 100%. Let's hope.
Well, I mean,
because, but like, and I don't really, I mean, like, I think if we were just to Thanos snap out everyone who was angry and hated comic books, the comic book industry would implode. But
you'd have creators in that snap too.
Exactly. No, and it's like, no. Just, like, I think if everyone, it's a very simplistic concept, but like, I read comic books and I like them, and I I dig on the idea of, like, superheroes and their, like, kind of mythology / morality, and so I do believe that if, like, people have what they need and feel good, then they'll probably pick the right thing. And so, yeah.
Or if they have, again, the right language to communicate that, like then those angry people no longer are angry, they're a little more nuanced, because I think that becomes the core of the conversation is, can I have a nuanced conversation to be able to talk to somebody else with it intelligently?
The problem with that, or a problem I have seen with it, and it's been talked about by funnier people and more intelligent people than me, is that some of the worst people weaponize language by appearing as though they have, because some of these people have media literacy and they do know how the game is played or how it works or how ideas are formed or how to change hearts and minds of people. And they use all the right language and they use all the right terms and they use all the, when I say right, I mean, like, they use all these, like, highfalutin educational terms and theories and ideas to perpetuate just, like, the worst things. And, how many times have you heard, like, the desire for a debate? You know what I mean? Like, it's like, no, just let me yell at you. And it's like, that's not going to work. But if you debate me now, it's suddenly an intellectual discussion. And I'm using 10-letter words and, but I'm still saying the same crap.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it gets in the weeds. And so to get to the heart of it, if you have an audience, you have a responsibility to be your best self in front of it. Is what I was, you know what I mean? Like, that's, and I don't mean to be like, I'm not trying to say, like, be a phony, but like, don't, because I think authenticity is important, and I think it's part of our brand. Like, I think that ComicPop succeeds like 75% or more because of our authenticity. My reactions, Ethan's actions, Tiffany's reactions, Ben's reactions, they're all genuine and real. And, they're not, it's not like they're getting paid to like act like a certain way and, or have a certain bent on one ideology or another. They're just my friends, and we just share our opinions and feelings, and hopefully people respond to
that. And I think that becomes the easiest thing, is just like, oh, you are friends, we are just having a discussion. And the best thing about having friends is that you usually pick people who are not necessarily like you, but who
share the same
values, and you're willing to engage.
Exactly and challenge you. It's the most important thing in the world, is like to have is to if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Like, you want to be around people who challenge you, and you want to be, because that's the only way you're going to be better, is by being called out, or by being, being exposed to new ideas, or at the very least having your ideas challenged in productive ways.
So we wanna respect Sal's time, of course. We've got
but I did talk for like 2 hours, so I do apologize. We can actually do a show if you guys want. I mean, I think
let's go ahead and hit record now, Tyler, and then we'll
you got it. Yeah, that was the pre-show. Yeah.
Well, I want to make sure we get to some comments and questions, Sal. There were questions and comments for you before we got live, just on our Discord server, which there's a link to if anyone wants to join it. But then, of course, in the live chat. So while we get the giveaway together, while we get prepared for that, we promised we would be making our amalgam characters, right? So Sal, recently on the show, they did a fun thing where they were just kind of coming up with amalgam characters based on the recent announcement, DC and Marvel putting out those crossovers in omnibus format. So I thought we would come here and try to come up with one or two amongst ourselves. Now, I'm immediately giving Sal the benefit of the doubt, because they had to do this. I mean, my God, they were digging in the crates for fusions. So they had an advantage, or he's at a disadvantage. So we won't judge his, but you guys, the rest of us, let's see what we can come up with. I've got one. I'll start us off.
Sweet.
So I'm going to go with Ghost Rider from Marvel, and I'm going to go with Cyborg from DC. I am creating Ghost Machine.
Oh, nice. That's a great name. Although I think Jeff Johns may have some words with you.
Well, look.
Sell it to him.
Take it up with my lawyer.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right.
Love it.
I can go.
Yeah.
I want to do mascot of the show, Wildcat from DC, and Daredevil. And I'm going to make Wild Devil, a guy that can just slug it out, fist-to-fist combat.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love that idea. I never thought about Wildcat and Matt, because like Matt's son of a boxer, Wildcat kind of is a boxer. Yeah, that's dope.
I like Magic, Magic the character, Liana, and I want to combine her with Zatanna, and come out with Zoltan.
He's going to tell me my fortune and make me small?
Roll your fortune backwards and then whip out a sword and kick some ass.
Marco doesn't get that reference. He's too young.
Yeah.
Was that a reference? Well,
yeah. There you go. Big time, so to speak.
Hendrik Perry says, is Wild Devil half blind?
Right?
One eye. He got punched too hard. It's like he's got a cauliflower ear on that side too. Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, I kind of love that visual. Yeah.
Kale, what do you got? You got one?
Oh, no. Okay.
It doesn't have to be good.
It won't be. This won't be a Marvel and DC, but Black Sad and Usagi Yojimbo.
Oh.
Black Yojimbo.
Oh, I like it.
There it is.
Nice.
I said it and I liked it a lot more.
So he's a samurai detective.
He's a noir samurai detective.
Cat rabbit.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Maybe make him a jackrabbit. So it's like he's
there
either a cat nor a rabbit.
A jackalope.
Yeah.
A jackalope. There you
yeah.
go.
Nice.
Yeah, that's not bad actually.
Yo,
Well done,
Sakai, where you at? Where you at?
Sal, you got one in the chamber for us?
Yeah, I got one. You take Blade,
Okay,
from Marvel, and Bloodwind from DC, and make Bloodsword.
Ooh.
There's like a magic crystal in his blade. I don't know. He would
I
look
like it.
cool. He would look neat. It'd basically be Blade with a big cape.
A bigger
Blade
cape.
should have a big cape.
I mean, he has a coat sometimes, but
Oh,
that's not the same thing.
He has the cape on top of the actual coat.
Yeah.
Two things flurrying in the wind.
Can I just want to shout out real quick promiscuous time travelers in the chat. I want to combine Plastic Man and Captain Planet to make Plastic Planet.
Oh,
damn.
Or is that too realistic?
Yeah. Oops,
Yeah,
too
is.
sad.
right?
Too close to home. Too close to home.
Yeah. No, you get you get Hank Pym or Scott Lang and Plastic Man. You can make microplastics.
Yes. Yeah.
Dude, I eat those every day. They're in every meal that I consume.
Yes.
It's in our bloodstream. Yep.
Breakfast.
Those are gonna kill me.
Yeah.
Arcade and the Calculator is the Game Master. That's from Harris.
Oh,
Nice.
nice.
Okay, all right. Flo Dameron, of course, has to say Man Bat and Man Thing to make Batman.
There
I
it
think that
is.
one's got legs.
Yeah.
I love it.
Might see something.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so can we, Sal, run through some questions and comments? All right. You can answer these as briefly as you want. I don't want to.
Yeah, I feel bad. I
keep
haven't
it-
really talked much, so I think it's probably a good idea.
Really wish you'd speak up.
I know, right? I'm sorry.
I'll kick it off, and then Tyler, you take up after me. Amin says, I don't know if it's too late, or what is that comic book run arc event that you hated or weren't a fan of, but have now grown to appreciate or even love? And is the answer, this is me adding, is the answer 0 Year?
Oh yeah, no, I am gonna do a redux on 0 Year because I need to reread it. I bought it again, and I had it on Comixology, so that's gone. But and it's not gone, but it's like I'm not gonna use it. But I have it in trade, and I'd like to revisit it because I think, knowing what I know now, I'm like, oh, this might actually be kind of cool. And I kind of love the Snyder Capullo run now, so I really need to reread the whole damn thing. But yeah, that's one. The one that yeah, as far as like runs, that's interesting. I guess I'll go with the Snyder Capullo run entirely. Like I was very critical of it, but it's still the best one. Like, especially from the last 15 years.
I'm with you.
Right?
I'm with
Like
you. Yeah.
every one that has come since it has been trying to be its own thing, but also like is compared to it.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
and it's like, yeah, it's just they were doing some cool crap back then, and I kind of miss it.
Crazy consistent too, which
Yes.
Yeah.
is
Yes.
hard to do.
Right? Outrageous.
Well, I think it's so funny how, like, it shouldn't have been that good right after Grant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's I don't remember where we were talking about this, but there's a belief that like Batman didn't used to be like that. Like Batman didn't used to be like an event series, but after I think No Man's Land,
Yeah.
everybody at DC was like, what's the next like arc? Or not, you know what I mean? Like, what's the next big run? Who's going to take over? It's going to be like a big event now. Like every time that Batman's doing something, it's going to be a big ass thing. And Scott and Greg delivered.
Yeah. Yep. Excellently. quick shout out to Amin in the chat for gifting some five pals membership. So thank you so much.
Nice.
Got hit by some of us, but
thank you so much. I wish I hadn't gotten one. I don't need a channel membership to my own channel. Jesus.
That's just the.
Somebody said Bloodlines. No. If anything, I hate it more than I did before. Because back then, I only really read like one chapter of Bloodlines, and it was the Robin annual with Razor Sharp, and I was like, "Cool, yeah, the Cyber Rats." And then I read the whole damn thing, and I'm like, "This is the worst thing in the world." Which is very different. Yeah, I wish Razor Sharp would come back. She was murdered unceremoniously by Superboy Prime, but yeah, I was talking to Josh about this on our other show, All Stars. And he loves Bloodlines. And he's like, "Wow, could you not like Bloodlines?" And I'm like, "Because it's gross and weird." And I remember he's like a horror movie fan. And I'm like, "Oh, yeah."
Makes sense. Makes sense.
All right. So Dan Trudeau also asked a question for Sal. What was it about your channel you think it's differentiated it enough to stand out in such a crowded market?
Oh, just the premise. Like, just the concept of, like, it's not a bunch of people who read comic books, like, agreeing with each other. It's just three dudes sitting on a couch, like asking questions they would never ask, you know, like, and having like a kind of camaraderie that they didn't normally experience, particularly in this space. Like, we had a lot of one of my favorite negative comments we get, and it's not really a comment so much as it is like a concept through a comment, but it's like, people are so mad when they find our show and they love everything about it except our opinions. They're like, "Why can't you make a show like this for me, where you agree with everything I say? Like, the sound quality, the picture quality, the quick-wittedness of your co-hosts, like the video quality, like the consistency of uploads. But I hate everything you're saying." And but I'm like, there's something there. Oh, there's something to that. Like,
lean in.
Why don't you go make your own channel and do that?
That's what I say usually. I'm just like, well, go ahead, man. Go off, King. But I genuinely, I'm like, yay. I'm glad that we're so good you hate us.
Yes, it's the most validating.
You're good enough to provoke a reaction. Like, that's
big time.
That's huge.
Big angry reactions that last a long time. We've got some of our biggest fans have hated us for 5-10 years.
Amazing.
That's a pet at that point. Yeah. You have a pet.
Once in a while, they'll like pop up. Like, every once in a while, you'll see them. It's like having like a mousetrap out in like in a main living space. Where it's like, here he comes. It's gonna get hit up. Where like, you'll see a name just pop up, and he'll be like, "Hate you! I've been hate watching you for 6 years, and you've crossed the line. Like, you finally said the thing." I'm like, you guys remember that, like, in Wizard Magazine one time, Kevin Smith said that Jack Kirby is overrated, right? Like, I'm never gonna say that.
Woof.
Damn.
That's a take.
Right? He was like, "I don't get it. I just don't get it." I'm like, that's fair. I understand why you don't get it, but like, you should. He has since, like, he's like, he just wasn't exposed to it. The reality was, like, if he was reading in the 80s and 90s, like,
yeah,
he wasn't exposed to it. So, like, no, he has actually been like, that was like the most hate mail he got for like a long time, was just from that like blurb in a random like Wizard Magazine interview.
I can see that.
And I don't promote hate mail.
Still gets.
But
yeah, but he does like Jack Kirby now, folks.
Oh, thank God! All right, he's on the right side of history.
As he should.
I don't want to hear that Kevin Smith got a bunch of freaking hate mail from the Comic Pals because I said something because I unearthed a comment he made off the cuff while he was shooting a movie in a Wizard Magazine from 2000. Like, but anyway,
let's see if we can hit a couple of more comments from the YouTube chatters.
Yeah, I've got from YouTube.
I'm sorry. Go for it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Do it.
This one is from a longtime listener, Atomic Hound. He says, "Thanks for all you do to promote comics. Obviously, things are always changing, especially with a still relatively new platform such as YouTube. What big changes do you see coming in the next 3 to 5 years in YouTube or other platforms in terms of comics content?"
Oh, wow. That's a great question. I never think, well, I think about the changing of the guard, but sometimes I don't have time. You know, like I'll be like, what are we going to do in like 3 years? And I'm like, well, what am I going to do tomorrow?
Yep.
But I mean, I couldn't have predicted. No, I easily could have predicted it, but I was such a jackass. I didn't, you know, where I'm like, everyone's shooting vertical. And I was like, just turn your phones, you lazy jackasses. It's horrible. No one wants to watch a vertical video. Yeah, I was wrong. And the TikTok has completely destroyed video content watching. But so I couldn't have predicted that. As far as like the next 3 to 5 years with comic book content, I think you're going to see, I mean, you're already seeing it right now, but like you're going to see a lot more like here. I think you're going to see an implosion. Like I think that like there are a lot of comic book creatives or a lot of comic book YouTubers out there, whether they even want to be called that or not. And they grind and they work their asses off and they put out their stuff, but like eventually it isn't sustaining. It isn't it isn't worth it, either creatively or financially. So I think you're going to see like a kind of like, implosion of content creators where it's like, it's going to be, you see the same like 4 people. I don't necessarily even think it's going to be the same people that like you see now, not right now on the screen, but like, like me.
Hopefully it's those people.
Right. Like, but crossed. But I'm seeing like, I watch TikTok a lot and I see a lot of like the comic book space for them. And they are the ones who have the ones who are only talking about comic books, who are like, here's how, here's what the gutters mean, and here's what comic books are, and here's a new book from Boom Studios. They get like 2 views. They're just dead in the water.
Yeah.
The people who like say, did you know? That is never going away. The did you knowers is never going away, because like there's something deep and fundamental about comic book fans that all want to know. They want to know what happened, and they want to be the one who knows it. So as long as you make that kind of content, you will never go hungry.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be a lot more like clinical. Right now it's like, hey, I'm Steve. Like, here's a panel from a random Spider-Man comic book, and I won't cite it, but isn't it messed up?
Oh,
or here's the whole comic book.
Right. Here's the whole comic book. I won't even cite the issue.
Right.
Or the creators.
Oh, no. Oh, never.
Forget that. We didn't even
Why would I do that? Why would I do that? I don't even know who they are.
Yeah.
So, it's like, that is, that I think that is where it's going to start leaning. It really depends on like, because I mean, we're seeing TikTok as like, we're going to start favoring landscape videos over 10 minutes long. And I'm like, yeah, they already have a friggin' institutionalized platform for that. It's called YouTube.
Right.
And that ain't you, and your audience ain't going to watch that. And they're not. But like, they also don't underestimate the ease of content distribution. Like, people love to just give me the thing. We have a joke where we talk about Sonic, the fast food restaurant, where it's the only place where you can get more, and that is not a compliment. Like if you go to a Wendy's, like I'm gonna have myself like 4 chicken sandwiches and a couple of fries. I go to the Wendy's, and then I leave the Wendy's, and I eat it in my car. I might feel shame if I go back on the Wendy's and order another basket. Right. But at Sonic, you just roll your window down in the car. More.
Put it in my mouth.
You can get a hot dog. You can get your tater tots. You can get your milkshake. You can get your French toast sticks.
And you could do it all. You could do it all at once, or one after another. Just roll down your window and just say more, and they just bring it to you like you're a rat in a maze. And that's how content distribution is right now, where it's just like, I'm just lying in bed. I just want you to show me more, just more. And TikTok exists because of that desire, like that, like push a button and food comes and a pellet comes out,
Yeah.
So, you're going to see all your favorite content is going to be reflected through that.
I like that Sonic character, Sal. It was good.
Thank you. Ethan does it better, but I don't remember what episode that was, but I was like, that's the funniest thing you've ever said. Just more.
But I agree. It's just like decreasing attention spans, and therefore you have to just fill the void. And the algorithm itself is all about new stuff, not the stuff that you even follow.
Well, it's to paraphrase an old Seinfeld bit. Because it's like Seinfeld had a bit where it's like, men don't want to watch TV. Men want to watch what else is on TV. That's why they're always constantly clicking through the channels. And it's like, isn't that just, you're just endlessly scrolling. Like, you are not, I firmly believe there's like something about TikTok where it's like, no one likes what they see on TikTok. But it's good enough, just good enough, that maybe the next one will be the thing I actually want to watch.
Stick on.
And so I'm just endlessly scrolling, looking for that perfect video.
It's slot machines for content.
Yeah, for content. How gross. I hate it. Yeah. So, that seems to be where we are. That's the present, though. Is it the future? I hope not. I think that kind of content consumption and production burns you out. Like I said, how like the comic book space is going to kind of implode. The TikTok space is going to freaking... The problem is the rollover. TikTok is like, yeah, there's burnout. Good thing they always keep making more people.
Yo, actually...
Hey, even that is drying up.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
The people factory is drying up too. Let's hit a couple of more of the listener comments if we can.
Can I do this one from Rubber Shark real quick?
Yes.
Sal, do you think that the Hollywood bloat has caused such a, quote, cool down for the comic movie honeymoon period?
Yep.
If so, do you think comics themselves will be more niche again, just without as many comic shops?
Nope.
We got it.
Nope.
We got it.
I mean, like, yes. Yeah. Disney and Warner Brothers screwed up. Bad. Disney thought, make more. And Warner's thought, who cares what it is? And that is a deadly combo for, an audience that is just one bully away from quitting the whole damn genre. Are you watching another superhero movie? Oh, shit. Turn it off. That's all it takes. That's all it takes. But yeah, as far as Hollywood has no influence over the comic book industry. And when I say that, I mean, like, Hollywood has every influence over the comic book industry, but it doesn't mean anything. Like, Hollywood has every bit of information. Like, Spider-Man had to put on a black costume in the comic books because he had one in the worst Spider-Man movie ever made. Like,
oh, right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I'm going back. I'm going way back, like Spider-Man 3, he's wearing a black costume. Well, shit. Put him in the black costume
and make an event out of it.
And somehow make it make sense.
Right. And just figure it out. He has it under a gargoyle somewhere and he puts it on in the rain. Who cares? Just make it happen. He has organic webbing in the movie. Make him have more organic webbing in the comic books. The throngs of new comic book fans that will be spawned from watching this one movie will be, in the tens of thousands, and they're going to be so confused when they see Spider-Man put on a mechanical web shooter, even though I haven't seen him literally do that in like 20 years. But so yeah, no, but at the end of the day, of course, like, you see the lamentations of comic book creatives and all the time going like, where the hell are they? Where are all the people who like Iron Man?
Yeah.
Like, why isn't Iron Man the number1 book? If Iron Man's the number1 movie, why isn't Iron Man the number1 book? And it's like, because there is no crossover, dude.
Yes.
Like, I just read recently, this is actually this is pertinent because, like, I have this information and I had no place to use it. Kevin Eastman spent $14 million trying to resurrect or sustain the independent black and white comic book scene in the late 80s, and it didn't work. $14 million. Remember when when Valiant had like 1 billion books out and and all these award nominations, but literally no wins? That was like money was being pumped hand over fist into Valiant, and still, both Valiant fans are not there to show up to buy the goddamn comic book. Like, money is not like, the comic book industry is too small and too insular and too niche to, like, it's too niche. It's a realization I've come to very recently where I'm like, it's just too niche. It's never going to get big. It's never going to blow up. And because I've seen I've seen it have every opportunity, and I've seen the comic book industry squander every opportunity. But I've seen people succeed in spite of themselves. Like, I've seen alcoholics succeed in job interviews. You know what I mean? Like, I know that you could fail upwards, and the comic book industry is no exception. And yet, right? Like, $1 trillion movies, the biggest stars in the universe, like, endorsing them. Millionaires coming back to the hobby they love and injecting money into it, and it just doesn't translate. Comics are niche. Comics are, this is what comics is. It's just never gonna do it. So, like,
they're always barely surviving.
Comics are dying, and they've been dying for 50 years. Like, no, they're not dying. they just are small. And they always have been, and they will never be big. Like, that's the problem. People think that things are dying because they're not as big as, like, someone's SoundCloud download. You know what I mean? Damn. It's like, well, it can't. It's always been this. People, for whatever reason, like, they either can't get their heads around it. There's also an American stigma against the whole hobby in the first place. It's perpetuated from literally the 1950s. And it's like, that's crap. And I wish it weren't so. And how do you explain manga if that's the case? Manga's huge. It's huge to you, my friend, but it ain't huge to the world. It's huge to to Japan and Western people who are predisposed to reading that kind of format. But it ain't huge in terms of it ain't $1 trillion industry. People aren't, like, getting killed. They're not. There's no Black Dahlia movies about the manga industry. Is my point. But it's just like, comics are small, and the superhero movie genre could completely implode. The MCU could completely poop the bed, and it will one day, because all movies do. But like, the MCU could completely die. DC could have and DC could have an amazing cinematic universe for 20 years, and it wouldn't result in any significant bump in sales. It's just not there. And I think the sooner we accept that, the more free we'll feel as editors in chief and publishers to just do what we like. Because the audience is there, and they're not going anywhere. The audience is just smaller than what you'd hoped. But it's always been that way, so I don't know why you thought it was going to be bigger.
Challenge the audience.
I mean, like, yeah, just the only way it's going to get bigger is by innovating. Like, it's the one thing they haven't tried. No, they are innovating, but, like, not to the. I always use this as an example, and it bears repeating because it's so stupid. Batman Damned, amazing comic book. Whether you thought it was good or not, it was a triumph in art. And all anyone in our space can do is say bat dick, bat wang, penis. That's all. That's it. Literally, we will not be without a reference to it now. Like, I said Batman Damned, people are like, bat dick, dick, penis.
Tyler coined Batawang.
Yeah, Batawang. Exactly. And it's like, great, thank you for, like, ruining the conversation, because we could have had an interesting one, and the space could have been better, but it isn't. Like, instead, like, the president of DC was like, pulp every copy and remove every issue and apologize and change the art and blah 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 blah. Meanwhile, like, all they had to do was put Jim Lee on the Tonight Show or the Colbert Report, whatever the hell he was on, put Jim Lee on all the late night circuits. You want to see Batman's penis in this comic book?
Here it is. Here it is.
But
have a laugh about it.
That's the laugh. Yeah, get the big laugh out and then go like. But actually, the reason why that is because we just launched this new initiative. It's actually an all ages comic book for adults, and it challenges the medium. And actually, Libra Mayho is this amazing artist, and like just show some of the art. Like, look at that. Look at like this photo reel. Like,
look at
art.
The curvature of the penis. It's tremendous.
Yes. You barely can see it. It's obscured in shadow, but it's like. But like now we'll never get it. Now we'll never be able to, like, Black Label was DOA.
Yeah.
When DC admitted defeat and didn't and just refused to have an intelligent conversation about it. Even just a genuine conversation about it. Because instead of like it's not even like you can have a unintelligent conversation about art, but like to go, put a blanket over it. Like and that's what I say that's what I mean when I say like the comic book industry like squanders those opportunities. It's like that was a genuine golden opportunity to sell books. That was a golden opportunity to change the system. And when I say system, really I don't mean that because like it was made by the system, but like it was to change, to subvert expectations and challenge the medium and challenge the audience. Because like how do we grow? How do we mature? Like when people who we want the respect of go like, yeah, like the penis game is funny, but like we're 20. Like maybe knock it off. Or maybe this isn't the time and the place for that. I don't know. Not to get too. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I get so fired up about it because I'm like, there it goes. There's an opportunity. Oh, I hate wasted opportunities, especially when I can see them coming. It's one thing when it's like, oh, that like you missed an opportunity, like like finding out your high school crush had a crush on you back. It's like, well, those days are over. She don't want this no more. It's like, but seeing like, oh my God, everyone's talking about Batman Damned, and who cares if they're talking about his dick as long as we can have a conversation about it.
Yeah, publicity, right? Good publicity, bad publicity.
No such thing as bad. There is.
Well,
but this is publicity. I wouldn't even say it was bad publicity, but
you control the narrative, right? You're able to control the narrative, like you're able to then dictate what people get out of it ultimately. Like, yeah, people will laugh at the curvature of whatever, but then you spin that back around and be like, well,
all it took was just acknowledging it, and then steering lead. That's a lot of people in the industry, a lot of people in the world just want leaders. They want people to stand up and go like, hey, this is the direction we're going in. Yep. Like you can feel the absence of leaders in the industry. Anyway.
Yeah, and that feels like the absence therein of what's going on in some of the publishers. Like we don't know the direction for certain things. Let's throw stuff at the wall, see what sticks, as opposed to here's a plan.
Yeah.
So I want to point this out because we're talking about the industry and we're talking about the fact that it's never going to be as big as we want it. Well, you talk about growth. We have over 100 viewers right now, which for us is a peak. So, look, reviewing Ultimate Spider-Man doesn't bring us 100 viewers, but having Sal on does. So what's the power of, what's more powerful, right?
That shouldn't be. Ultimate Spider-Man, like that brought me some viewers. Like, I'll tell you that. Like, people were really excited to talk about freaking Ultimate Spider-Man. Like that was a good opportunity for a conversation. Like, and I'm glad it worked out. Like, that's great. But I'm glad and I appreciate it. I thank you for the compliment. I'm glad that we can, bring some folks in. But like, yeah. Oh, I would hope that like the comic books, people, they all think that in the industry. They're like, well, we got Spider-Man. Just slap Spider-Man on the cover and we're good to go.
It sells.
Make other characters Spider-Man for some reason. In honor of that, I want to do something special. I'm going to give away 5 channel memberships right now.
Oh, cool.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I'm going to click a button here.
Wait, Kale and Tyler should leave.
Oh, shit. Yeah, should we close it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'll close mine too.
Yeah, you could be a channel member. You can absolutely be a channel member. So here we go. I'm gifting 5 channel members right now. Congratulations to the winners.
Ooh, Promiscuous Time Traveler. Always laughing.
That's perfect.
Hey.
Nice. Matt Murphy, Keely Chow, and Paper Tiger. Hope you guys enjoy your early access videos. I want to see some emojis in the chat, the pals heads. Let's get those going.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Sal.
Yes.
can we do something special here today for the audience?
I invite you to, please.
Okay, so we've got a little fun gimmick that we do. We like to, when we hit a likes goal, which we've crushed any likes goal we've ever had already, so I'm not even going to bother with that.
Yay.
But what we like to do is spin a wheel.
Okay.
And play a quick game. They're all very fast.
Love
These
it.
are pre-prepared games, so whatever it lands on is the game we'll play. Love to play it with a guest. Can't imagine a more fun time than playing with you right now. Okay. So, Tyler, if you're ready for that, can we spin the wheel?
Yeah, I'm ready. All right. So
all right.
I'm going to spin this.
And then we're going to do the Gavin giveaway, so be ready.
I win.
What do we got, Tyler?
We got What If.
Ooh.
What if? Okay. So the way What If works, quick explainer. The way What If works is I'm going to give us a prompt. And we have, we'll say 2 minutes. We have 2 minutes between us. Each one of us gives one sentence to further the plot.
Yeah.
We're going to come up with a whole story based on this prompt. And the way we determine who goes first, of course, is with my handy dandy dice. And I'm going to get those right now. But before I do that, I'm going to tell you the prompt.
Sweet.
The prompt is, what if the Joker was in the Marvel universe?
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to leave real quick. I'm going to get my dice.
But see, now you got to think, who's the nemesis, right?
Wait.
Right.
He didn't come with his dice. Like, he knew we were doing this.
Also,
He's
how
like,
long
oh
do
my
you think
god, I can't believe you just ambushed me with this game.
Oh, he's back. He's back.
The showmanship.
He's
All
back,
right.
he's back.
I
Sure.
have here my handy dandy X-Men dice. I'm going to roll these now. I'm going to roll first for our guest. So that
And
is
he
a
does
4.
have a bottom half.
Yeah.
That is a 4. Yeah, I do have a bottom half. I was lying before.
Sort of. I only
I'll-
see chair.
I'll roll for myself now. That is an 8. Now for Kale, that's an 8. Tyler, that is an 11. Marco, that's a 12. So Kale and I have a roll off. First for me, that's an 8. Now for Kale, that is an 11. So the order is Marco. Marco,
Yeah,
Tyler, Kale, me, Sal. All right.
All right.
Love
So
that.
one sentence, pass it on.
Make the
Okay.
guest go last.
I
Yes.
love it. Yeah, that's perfect. Gives them all
Listen,
the
you
time
had
in the
you
world.
had your time in the sun, Sal.
It's true. No, I did. Yeah. I'll
Okay,
disappear
okay.
into the night.
So Marco starting us off with the Joker in the Marvel Universe.
It is nighttime, and Joker comes out of a sewer in New York and looks up and is in Hell's Kitchen.
As he leaves the sewer, it's nighttime. You said, Marco, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. He
2 minutes,
looks
Marco.
forward, and on a rooftop is this shrouded silhouette of a figure with what looks to be 2 pointy things sticking out up top.
Now the Joker is excited. He loves this type of thing. And so he immediately is hit by a taxi.
So Joker gets hit by a taxi, but a taxi is not going to stop the Joker. Battered, broken body and all. He gets up after getting hit by the taxi and crawls himself over to the rooftop, climbs up the building, and encounters for the very first time
Speedball.
it's Sal's turn.
Okay.
Oh, you didn't finish the sentence.
All right, fine. No. Go for it.
All right. Moon Knight,
What I was hoping for. Yeah.
who reaches for him desperately and says, "Oh my God, are you okay? What happened to you?
Moon Knight.
Why are you up here?"
Moon Knight goes straight for his phone. He's like, I know a good lawyer. I caught everything that happened there. I have it on video. We can get you the justice you deserve.
So, cut to the lawyer shows up. It's Jennifer Walter, She-Hulk.
Yep.
Yeah.
He is interested in the whoever does. Oh no, I don't like this. Whoever does the Joker's hair.
Time.
Oh, thank God.
I like how there was an unwritten agreement that we would never bring Daredevil into it.
Yeah. Quick
But
pivot.
Marco said he comes out of a sewer in New York City, and I went,
That's
what?
some opener, Marco. Thank you.
Well, because he was trying to poison the water supply.
Sure.
That would have been a good detail to add.
Marco,
Well,
do you
I
think
thought it was
the water
just
supply is
eventually
in
get
the
to.
sewer?
Yeah. What?
You think the water supply is in the sewer?
Well, you know.
All right. Thank you for playing the what if game. Let's get to the Gavin Guidry giveaway before we close out. The Triple G. This is for everybody that has left a comment or question for Sal, whether we read it or not. We appreciate them so much. This giveaway is for you. So,
all right. I don't have a drum roll sound effect. I forgot to get that right.
That wheel.
All right, so I'm gonna pick a random name here. Anyone else that came in here at the last minute? Nope, nobody knew. All right, so I'm picking it. We have Sean Sullivan. Sean Sullivan, the winner of a piece of art, a sketch piece from Gavin. What you'll have to do. Sorry, go ahead. Sean, what's your last name? Bartley. Okay. Not Sullivan. Not Sullivan. So the way it'll work is if you reach out to us, you can either DM us on Twitter/X or join our Discord server. There's a link to it in the description of this video. You can reach out to me, Sean Soapbox, on our Discord server, and we will get that to you. Thank you so much to Gavin, by the way, GavinGuidry.com, I believe. And Superman 78 is his book. So check that out. He's doing an incredible job. And thank you for sponsoring this giveaway. Sal.
Yes.
It is an absolute honor to have had you back on the show. My really, pleasure. Really appreciate it. I appreciate your giving of your time, your thoughts, your energy on this Saturday morning. Thank you so much for that. I want to say that anyone who is not subscribed to your channel needs to head over to ComicPop. ComicPop Returns. Give ComicPop Returns some love. Honestly, those live shows are amazing. The interviews are hitting. They've had Scott Snyder, Ram V, Jason Aaron on the show recently, and that's the tip of the iceberg of the guests that they've been having. And Sal's been knocking those interviews out of the park. So support good, great commentary about comics on YouTube. When you find it, stick to it because it's hard to get. It really is. And Sal, Tiffany, the gang, they are doing it. So thank you for real for being an inspiration in this space and for carrying the torch. Absolutely. And for doing this kind of thing, because look, we would never have had 100 live viewers without you coming on. So you're actually paying it forward just by doing this guest spot.
Well, I'm glad I could do it. I had a great time. I really appreciate you guys indulging me and letting me just go off of shooting from the hip. And it's always been a pleasure. I think I've been on the show at least twice, right?
Once so far, but hopefully
only once.
We'll do it again.
Definitely. Yeah. Reach out anytime.
Thank you so much. Viewers, we will be back in a moment. We're just going to say goodbye to Sal off mic, and then we will come back and wrap up the show. So we'll be back.
So that was incredible. Sal is amazing.
Great time.
Really. Yeah.
And for only the second time, I mean, like, always a good conversation.
Yeah, the rapport is there. And he's a wealth of knowledge and opinions and stuff like that. I genuinely am a fan of the channel, so having him on here is an honor. And if you came here because of Sal, if you came to watch this channel, watch us because of Sal, thank you so much. I think, as Sal pointed out, there are a lot of similarities between our channels. We make similar kind of videos from a similar kind of bent. We're not interested in just, shitting on comics and being down on the medium. We like to have insightful discussions about comics and about the industry at large. So if those are the kinds of things that you are into and you like Sal for those reasons, then I think you'll probably enjoy our channel too. We like to have a really good time around these parts, and we appreciate everybody that came to hang out. And we'll have Sal on again. Sal's a good dude, and we met him in person at New York Comic Con 2023, and it was a blast. And we kind of said, like, hey, we should do it again. We should link up again. And here we are.
Fruits of the labor.
Yeah, seriously.
Kale, we're live, just so you know.
I just walked in on my mother-in-law in the bathroom, so.
Oh. Fun.
I'd like to hear about that experience. Maybe
I don't.
All right, yeah. You know what? Maybe I
don't.
See, what is it about them says Okie dokie subscribed, and the Space Cowboy says just join the Discord.
Hell yeah.
Thank you guys so much. Really, really appreciate it. Absolutely. There is enough time and space to go around to have multiple channels you enjoy. And we're trying to grow around these parts. We've been doing this. We've been grinding for a long time. And so anyone who subscribes, anyone who supports us in any way, we really, really appreciate it.
Space Cowboy is asking, what stories have you read recently? Well, you should check out the channel on Tuesday because we're doing a little book club.
We're going to be talking about Man of Steel on Tuesday during the book club live. But to answer your question as far as what we've been reading recently, so every Thursday we review the week's comics. It's our show. We call it Pals Pulls. And we review the week's comics. This past week, what did we hit on? We hit on everything big. We hit on Ultimate Spider-Man #2. We hit on Batman. We hit on Wonder Woman. Yeah, so we hit on all the big books. X-Men. And then we cover, some indie stuff as well. We try to hit it all. And we actually have a poll. We let you guys influence it too. We have a listener pick poll on our channel, youtube.com/comicspals, the community tab. You guys get to vote and decide one of the books that will make it into the show.
Yep.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah. So we love the engagement. We love the interaction. You guys are phenomenal. We appreciate it. Normally, on a Saturday like this, after the week that happened in comics, we would have a full slate of news to talk about. Comic Pro just happened. Huge news out of that.
Yeah.
I'll just say one thing right now. DC's going back to Wednesdays.
Thank God.
So if you're a Tuesday, Wednesday warrior, I have so much respect for you. I am not that. I go on Wednesday. So now I don't have to miss out on DC books because of the Tuesday, Wednesday.
Did that happen to you a lot, Sean?
Not a lot, but it definitely did happen.
Gotcha. Enough to notice it. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
You and Bean, of course, tend to go for more Marvel variants, right? Like you're a big cover head. You'll go for specific covers and try and get specific ones.
Yes.
Those tend to be more Marvel, right?
Yeah, I would say so. I'm more focused on that. But if there's a great DC cover, I'm all in. But like DC just has less characters that I'm deeply passionate about, whereas Marvel's like, yo, you throw a Jean Grey cover, a nice Jean Grey cover, I'm buying it. I have to. I think Jean Grey and Spider-Man are the only characters that I've bought incentive covers for. Those covers that are like not cover price.
They just sell at $20.
Yep.
Mine is Thor, actually, strangely.
Thor?
Yeah.
Oh.
Interesting.
Mine is Archie. And I say it because I've only done it once. I've only gone for the extra big cover once.
With the Fiona Staples one?
I think it was the Cameron Stewart one, actually.
Oh, good choice. Good choice.
Back in the day, yeah.
But the switch to Wednesdays is also great for comic shops because
yeah,
an extra day.
Because that has to have been a logistical nightmare.
It's one of the many things that is coming out of Comic Pro that's actually like pro industry, which is great to see. We're going to talk a lot more about that stuff soon, but I think I can make this announcement today. I think I can. It's confirmed. It's confirmed. I just have a little bit of trepidation, but I'm pretty confident in this. So you guys will hear it here first. And if it doesn't work out, it didn't work out, but it's confirmed. Next week on this show, we have another guest coming on.
Oh, shit. Hell, this is news for us, too.
Well,
no.
Shouldn't be. Next week, we will be joined by writer extraordinaire, one of the very, very best in the industry, one of the best podcasts we've ever done was with this person. Bryan Edward Hill will be joining us next Saturday.
Oh, shit.
Yes.
Yep. Bryan Hill will be coming on the show, writer of Blade, writer of American Carnage, writer of Postal, writer of Black Panther, Ultimate Black Panther. This dude is a killer when it comes to writing incredible books, and I'm so happy he's joining us again
and putting words to what he's doing as well. If it's still out there, it probably won't be on YouTube, but the last time we did an interview with Bryan Edward Hill, it shook me to my core. So if you can find it on your podcast hosting platform, I highly recommend it. He starts the interview singing the theme from the Transformers movie.
Yeah.
Highly recommend it.
And as a listener at the time, I wasn't on the show at the time when you first interviewed him. That's a great interview. I remember, like, I had to sit down and lock in for that one. Is what I remember. When you're playing a game and you have to like hunch over real quick to like pay attention more.
That was one of the interviews that we got the most of that kind of feedback on, Tyler. So that makes sense to me that you would say that. Come with your questions. Leave them on the Discord pre-interview if you want. We're going to do another giveaway. We'll give away the first volume of American Carnage. We'll give away, the first volume of Blade. We'll give away his Killmonger book. We'll give something away to the winner. You know we love to give back. If you want to give to us, the best way to do that is by being a channel member here on this channel. Super chats, patreon.com/thecomicspals. Join the Palsverse. If you heard the opening, you heard us rattle off all those superhero or supervillain nicknames in the shout out section. Those are people who we've given full origins for. So if you want one of those, join us on patreon.com/thecomicspals. When we do that interview with Bryan, it'll be at the same time the show is always live, which is Saturdays at 10:15 a.m. Eastern. The next time we'll be live with you is Tuesday, as Tyler pointed out earlier, at 6 p.m. for the Man of Steel Book Club. Come hang out with us. We're going to be talking all things Man of Steel, John Byrne. It's a first read for all of us, so we're very excited to tackle that.
Yep.
But then after that, we'll be live with you again on Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern for Pals Pulls. We've got a lot of great books on the docket for this week's edition of Pals Pulls. We're going to be talking about Resurrection of Magneto #2, Amazing Spider-Man 44, Immortal Thor #7, Flash #6, and your pick. Vote in the listener pick poll on youtube.com/thecomicspals, and you can determine what the last book will be in that slot. Go ahead, Tyler.
Did you say Flash?
I did. It's closing out the arc.
Fair.
Gotta have it. Gotta have it.
I won't be here for it.
Dude, look, I picked the books, but this show's not about me. I would never want to review The Flash if it wasn't for the fact that other people like it. So here we will.
Marco's on the show. Thank you for being so considerate, Sean. I love you too, buddy.
Marco, you gotta double up for me. I won't be there. So.
Ooh, there it is.
All right. We'll see you guys Tuesday. Thank you so much to Sal. Watch ComicPop. Thanks to Gavin. Huge shout out to Gavin Guidry. GavinGuidry.com. Superman 78. Pick it up. It's a great comic book. Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you on Tuesday.